So let's start with the poem, 9 Gold Medals by David Roth. The athletes had come from so many countries to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. So the athletes, athletes are people, men and women, boys and girls who participate in sports activities. The athletes had come from so many countries. So the use of the word "so many" over here is trying to emphasize or highlight the fact that this whatever event was this, it was an international event because multiple countries were participating in it. The athletes had come from so many countries to run as in to compete, right? To compete, to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. Gold, silver and bronze means the gold medal, the silver medal and the bronze medals that are given out in the Olympics games. So the athletes of several countries, they have come around, they have come to this particular event to compete each other to win the gold medal, the silver medal and the bronze medal. Many weeks and months in training, all building up to the games. Many weeks and months in training means the athletes have spent a lot of effort, months and weeks of trainings, all building up to the games. All building up means all leading up to the games, all culminating into games, all for the games. So they for just to win these medals, just to participate in the games itself, the athletes have spent a lot of effort, put in a lot of effort and spent weeks and months in training. All round the field, the spectators were gathered, cheering on all the young women and men. All round means all around. So everywhere around the entire field, big field, the spectators, the audience, they were gathered, as in collected, cheering on. Cheering on means encouraging, cheering on all the young women and men. These young women and men are the athletes. Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. So, and then the poet is telling you that the final event, the final event of the game of the day, for the final event for the day of the Olympics game was approaching. It was approaching as in it was about to start. The last race was about to begin. It was just about to begin. The loudspeakers called out the names of the runners. The 100 meters, the race to be run. So the loudspeakers, they called out as the athletes came into the field from there, from inside the stadium. They came in front of the audience onto the field, right? The loudspeakers, it called out the names of the athletes. And what was the event? The 100-meter race. The 100 meters, the race to be run as in to be competed for. And 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. And there were altogether nine young athletes who stood there, who came out of the pavilion and stood there determined. What do you understand by determined? Determines is to firmly decide something, right? And poised means not moving at the moment, but almost, but absolutely ready to move. So when you are ready for something, just and waiting for a particular event or a sign to happen, and then you are completely ready to move, to act, then your condition would be called poised. And 9 young athletes stood there determined, firmly decided and poised for the sound of the gun. They were not moving, but they were ready to run, right? The sound of the gun, they were waiting for the sound of the gun to come. They were waiting for the gun to be fired to signal that the race has started, and they would start running. So you guys must have seen that people, before the race starts, everybody goes and they crouch down a little and they wait for the signal to be given. So and they'll start running. So the position, the overall condition while they are waiting for the signal of the gun, that is called that will be called poised. They are poised. The signal was given, the pistol exploded. Exploded means it burst out. The signal was given through the bursting of the pistol. The signal was given, the pistol exploded, and so did the runners on hearing the sound. And so did the runners, as in the runners also exploded. Exploded as in they did not burst. Exploded as in just like a bullet, they started running immediately. And so did the runners on hearing the sound. But the youngest among them stumbled and staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. But the youngest among them, the youngest athlete, he stumbled. Stumbled is to trip, right? To walk, to trip by own feet or by something. The youngest athlete, he stumbled and he staggered. Staggered as in he was surprised because he stumbled. See, because he has spent so much time in training, and this is something which was quite unexpected. He thought that he would keep on running, but just as the race started, he stumbled a little bit, he tripped, and then he was surprised, and he fell on his knees to the ground. So, because he stumbled, because he tripped, he fell down on the ground on his knees. He gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. What is frustration? Frustration is the feeling of anger that you feel because what you wanted, you cannot get it, or what you wanted to happen did not happen. Then the feeling of anger that you get, that is called frustration. He gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. Anguish means a great pain or suffering. And why he was feeling this great pain and suffering? Because all of his hopes and efforts, it was destroyed because he fell in just as the race started. And that's what is written in the next line. He gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. His dreams and his efforts dashed in the dirt. Dashed as in it became useless. It got mixed in the dirt. As in it was useless. Now all his effort has been wasted. But as sure as I am standing here telling the story, now it's a strange one. But here's what occurred. And then the poet says that what I am about to tell you is a very strange thing. But it is just as true as it is true that I am standing in front of you and telling you this story. Standing in front of you, it is a metaphor over here, as in you can say it's an expression of speech that he has used, that as he has written these words, as you are reading these words, just as true as you are reading these words, just as true that he is telling you this particular story through his poem. Now it's a strange one. This story is a very strange one. But here's what occurred, but this is what occurred. This is what happened, and because it's strange because something exceptional happened. The 8 other athletes stopped in their tracks. The ones who had trained for so long to compete. All the other 8 athletes, when they saw their fellow athlete stumble and fall down to his knees, all the 8 other athletes, each one of them who has spent just as much amount, if not even more so, maybe possible, more so effort. They've put in more effort. They've spent more weeks and months in training for the same event that they are running right now. All of these 8 athletes, they stopped in their tracks, in their paths. One by one they turned round and came back to help him and lifted the lad to his feet. Lad means, it is a term of endearment which is used for a young man or a boy. And one by one, all of these 8 athletes, they came back to help this boy, to help this young man to his feet, right, to stand up again. Then all 9 runners joined hands and continued. The 100 meters reduced to a walk. Then all the 9 runners, all the 9 athletes, they joined hands, they held each other's hands, and they continued on to the track. And the 100-meter race, when it starts, it finishes very quickly. Right, because 100 meters is not that much of a distance, and if you start running, you can cover it easily in a short period of time. But this 100-meter race, because one of the athletes was injured, he fell to his knees, he fell down, he became maybe injured or whatever. But he was walking, he was not running, and all the other 8 athletes, they showed solidarity and they started walking with the same pace as he was, and so the 100 meters race, it was reduced, it was converted, transformed, it became a walk. And the banner above that said, Special Olympics could not have been nearer the mark. And the banner, what is a banner? It is a cloth on which some message, symbol or a logo has been given. So this banner on which above the field which said Special Olympics, it could not have been nearer the mark, as in it could not have been more true. This indeed was a special Olympics, not because it was for special needs people, because what happened, this show of compassion and solidarity and kindness and humane behavior, humanity, this could not have been any more special. This was a very special moment. That is why he is saying the banner above that said Special Olympics, it could not have been nearer the mark, it could not have been more true. That's how the race ended, with 9 gold medals. And then the David Roth tells you that that's how the race actually ended, with nine gold medals. Every one of them got a gold medal. Every one of them was considered to be the first in the race. They came to the finish line holding hands still, because from the moment that they came back and helped the young athlete up to his feet, and they started walking with him towards the finish line, they came to the holding line still holding they came to the finish line still holding hands. So they all came at the exact time, and the banner above and the 9 smiling faces said more than these words ever will. Said more than these words ever will. So over here he is trying to express that the speciality of that moment, the uniqueness of that moment, what he felt or what everybody in the audience felt at that moment, it cannot be expressed in words. That is why he said that, and the banner above and the 9 smiling faces, it said more than these words. These words, the words that David Roth has used in his poem, in his song, said more than these words ever will. Said more than these words ever will. So it cannot be expressed. This is the beauty of this moment. It cannot be expressed in words. So this is the poem 9 gold medals. I'll be sending you assignment accordingly. I hope you understood everything. If not, please do let me know, and I will try to clear out your doubts and questions. Thank you, class.